Well, hey, B, it's Jamie. That's me here. Welcome back to my channel, honey, and welcome back to my first on-camera review for House of the Dragon. Okay, so please excuse me if you hear any noise or anything in the background, girl. All right, we're gonna get through this review either way. All right, so House of the Dragons. Okay, so episode three, because I have to go through episode 3 and 4. All right, now episode 3, it's been 3 years since episode 2. And I said, girl, y'all is just over here jumping time and just moving around, ain't it? Now the crab feeder's still over here feeding Lord Corliss men to the motherfucking crabs. And I'm over here cackling. Okay. Now Damon does show up at this time and he shows up and he done flamed everybody up. Okay. He done flamed all the motherfuckers. But then he ended up getting shot or whatever the case was. So he and his dragon had to go ahead and skip out and he had to go back to where they was. Okay. Now we get over there to Mr. Otto. Girl, y'all know I cannot stand High Tower. So Otto is over there talking to someone. I believe the name is Pray Tell, but the person that he's talking to, from my understanding, I believe is his big brother because they're celebrating the baby's birthday. So Aegon, y'all know Prince Viserys inside of Pen had the baby about 2 years old. Okay, so they over there celebrating the baby's name. So he over there talking to his brother, right? So his brother is over there trying to convince him that listen, the son needs to be the heir. And then Otto is like, well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't really think that's what the king gonna do. He said, well, it's your job to make sure that that is exactly what their mother gonna do. So what's up? All right. So it's his job to sit up there and convince Viserys to name Aegon as the heir to his throne because you know, girl, they can't take it if it's gonna be a woman in charge. And that's what I really don't like about these particular times because it's the lack of value that they have for women. All women are good enough to do is to serve y'all, be servants to the kingdom, and sit up there and give y'all kids back to back to back, give y'all heirs so that y'all legacy can continue. And that's what I can't stand. But let's go ahead and keep coming. Okay, let's keep going. So Hightower, when he was over there having that conversation with his brother, it was giving me, I was gonna do that anyway, because that's just how I am. But I don't need you to come over here and tell me what it is that I was gonna do anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because when I do it, you're gonna feel like I only did it because that's what you told me to do. And that's not what it was. I was gonna do that anyway, because you know how I get down. Period. Like that's what it was striking me as. That's the type of person Hightower gives me. So somebody decided they was gonna come and alarm the king and let him know, like, listen, the crab feeder over there, you know what I'm saying? He over there going ham on Damon and them. Okay. He over there eating them the but for some reason, Viserys didn't really want to hear that. He was really anal in episode 3. He was really irking my motherfucking nerves. Like I was just really getting tired of Mr. King V. All right. So the man lets him know, listen, you need to go over there and talk to these people, okay, or send some people to do something because your brother is a bit unhinged, okay, and the people that he's supposed to be leading is starting to be a bit concerned about this motherfucker. So you might want to go ahead and get it together because sir is a bit problematic, okay. So King V is looking for Rhaenyra. He was like, I don't really give about all this stuff you talking about right now. Where the hell is my daughter at? Like Rhaenyra, where is she at? Okay, he don't really care nothing about the attack. Go away from me with this is literally the energy that he was giving them. Okay, so where the hell is Rhaenyra? Bring her to me. So Allison then goes outside and she feels like it's her duty to go find Rhaenyra, but obviously they were best friends, so she does have like a care for her. So she goes to find Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra really wasn't trying to talk to her. She was over there trying to listen to the man play the banjo or whatever the hell he was over there playing. She didn't want to hear her. Okay, she wanted this man to sing and stuff, but eventually Allison and Rhaenyra kind of had a talk. Not really a talk. It was just like, listen, your dad is missing you. Like, it would be nice if you would join us to celebrate your little brother's birthday or whatever like that. And then Miss Rhaenyra was like, well, girl, is this a command from the king? And she was like, yeah, the king is commanding it. And she said, all right, then let it be what it is then. So if he's commanded me to show up, then I'm going to show up. And Allison is just like, well, girl, it ain't really got to be like that. You know what I'm saying? It should be something that you would want to do. But obviously, Rhaenyra is still pissed with her dad because he decided to go off and marry her best friend and she didn't know anything about it. And then inside of Pen got the girl pregnant too. So, she's a bit pissed about that, right? And on top of the fact that she's pissed about the fact that the first child is now a boy. So she knows that her being heir to the throne is now threatened because he could slide in at any moment, okay, and switch up on her and give the title to the son, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and let's keep going. So they headed to celebrate Aegon's birthday, okay? Because I guess they do like a 2-day or a 2-part celebration or whatever for baby Aegon and his birthday, all right? And the second part of the birthday includes a hunt. And I thought this was interesting because Viserys tells Rhaenyra that he would like for her to join him on the hunt. And I'm sitting over here feeling away because I said when she was ready to get out there with the motherfucking dragons and flame some shit a few years ago, you ain't want her to be a participant of that, right? But now all of a sudden, because you got your son and you feeling happy and high and mighty and you proving something to the different people in the realm, now you want your daughter to come out and hunt with you? If you don't get your ass on my face, daddy, I'm not gonna participate. Rhaenyra said, I'm not gonna come do this because ain't nobody here for me. Okay? Ain't nobody here for me. Because he said something to her like you would know about the process or you would know about something if you actually attended and participated in the different festivities. And she's like, I don't care about none of this shit because they ain't nobody here for me. So go away from me with this. Period. Okay. So when Rhaenyra went into the quote unquote party, because she did show up, but what she did was, first of all, when he was being celebrated by his people, the Prince Aegon, Rhaenyra kind of sat back and she was just sitting there like, oh, I really don't want to be here. Like you could just tell from her face, she was like, I really don't want to be here for this. I really don't. But I'm just like, ugh. Girl, everybody finna praise this little boy. We're finna be right back where we started. Rhaenyra really does want to be queen. I don't know who she wants to prove wrong, but Miss Girl really does wants to be queen, right? So she fell in the way. But eventually she does get out and she goes over there to where the queen is with a lot of the other ladies. Okay. She goes over there with the ladies, and what we learned is that one of their women ended up getting snatched up on the stepstones or getting snatched up from the stepstones, and I believe she's gonna be sold into Miss Prostitute. Okay, so they about to go ahead and sell her up the river at some point, which is just very horrible. So they asking Rhaenyra like she's the princess. Let's get her opinion and see what she thinks about all of this. But Rhaenyra is kind of like, girl, I don't know what the hell going on over there, girl. I be trying to stay clear of that shit. Mm-mm. Don't ask me about nothing. So the ladies are continuing to talk about how the crown is in jeopardy or whatever. And Rhaenyra is just believing that it's not. And they're like, girl, I don't know what you heard or what you thought, but the crown is very much so in motherfucking jeopardy. Okay. The crown is up for motherfucking grabs. Like, girl, they's on your daddy ass. Like, why you think they out here fighting? Why you think they out here fighting Damon and everybody else? They try to prove a point to show how weak the king is too, girl. They over there. Yes, all of this is girl, just understand, okay? It's up for grabs, girl. Okay, understand that we over here fight for it. It is at war. Okay, the crown is the big issue. All right, so they have that conversation. Next thing you know, we see where Rhaenyra go outside and she's approached by some guy by the name of Lord Jason Lannister, and he was giving very much so pervert, admiring her from the back and just looking at her and everything, talking about his kingdom and what he can offer her and how he don't have dragons, but he can get somebody to build her a dragon pit and all this other stuff. And she's sitting over here looking at him like, what the hell you need to do all that for? Oh, okay. You trying to pitch me your hand. Oh, okay. You trying to get married to me or whatever like that. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and skip to my loop. Right. So she's pissed with her daddy because she don't like that he tried to bring that boy out there to front her on some age time for you to get married. And she's like, I ain't even trying to get married. I'm not even trying to follow the rules or what the hell y'all been putting out here for me to follow anyway. Like, girl, I'm cool on this shit. Okay. I like exactly how I am. So then the king starts yelling at her. So when she going there to confront her daddy or talk to her daddy, he ends up going off on her and yelling at her in front of everybody. And people looking around like, girl, what the hell is going on? Okay. And so he ends up telling her, like, you must get married. At the end of the day, girl, you're gonna have to get married. And he looked a fool. I don't like that she's being forced to marry. Just like I don't like that y'all force yourselves to sit up here and marry these young ass little girls and get them pregnant, and then want to sit up there and have these girls having babies for y'all for the rest of their damn life. Like I just hate to hear it. But anyway, so when her daddy kind of yelled at her and embarrassed her and told her that she's gonna have to marry somebody, period. You know what I'm saying? She decides to get on her horse and ride the fuck out, which is what she did. So Sir Kristen decided he was going to follow her into the woods or whatever, right? So they ended up chilling at some point. They chilled in the woods or whatever before they ended up getting attacked by a boar. And I think she ended up learning more about him. He learned more about her. All of that. Then the boar came out. They ended up, having to fight the boar, but she killed the hell out of the boar. So it was what it was. Okay. Meanwhile, Lord Lannister is back there at the damn party trying to kiss up to the king, trying to get him an item because he gave him something to kill this white stag with. And I guess the white stag is supposed to represent some type of fate or something. I guess it's a sign about whether or not Prince Aegon is supposed to be the next person to take on the role of heir. Okay. And he gave him a gift for Prince Aegon or for that particular ceremony that's supposed to take place. And he also pitches himself to be, to take his daughter's hand in marriage because he wants to marry Rhaenyra. But of course, he just wants the power for real, for real. Like that's why anybody would want to marry her for real, for real. And so he said, what I can offer your kingdom or whatever is strength. And then Viserys said, baby, do you know who the hell we are, baby? We Targaryens. Did you see all the dragons that we have that'll flame your ass up? And you really mean to tell me that you think that we need strength? Is that what you mean to tell me? Girl, no, we don't need strength, but it's interesting because that is why y'all marry other people. It's to strengthen y'all clan or whatever like that. So yeah, you do kind of need strength, but I guess you didn't need his particular strength. And I guess he just felt insulted because that also lets you know what the conversations are being had or what conversations are being said about him as the king, as well as his daughter and all that other stuff, girl. So anyway, so then he says, well, you know, she could fit right in into my kingdom or whatever. She could fit right in into my land or whatever. What he said, after her loss of station or something. He said, what the hell you mean her loss of station? And he was like, oh, well, you know, you got a son, Aegon. Like, I mean, I just assumed as many others. And then the king said, oh, so you and many others just assumed that I was gonna name my son because it's a boy, a motherfucking heir. Is that what you're saying? Okay, yeah, go away from me with this bullshit before I cuss your ass the hell out. Okay, so that's how he was feeling about that. Meanwhile, Viserys was just getting more drunk and more drunk and more drunk. Okay, he stressed the hell out. Rhaenyra is not abiding by what he wants. He over there sick, losing fingers, getting wounded the hell out by the damn Iron Throne. So he over there, he pressed. Now he over here thinking that he could have made a wrong decision by naming his daughter as heir. And maybe he should, you know, name his son because he had a dream that it was clear as day that he was going to have a son. You know what I'm saying? I guess he just didn't know who that son was going to be with. So now he's over here second guessing, like, dang, should I still keep her in the position or should I snatch her out of that position? Right. So that's what all is going through his head. But Otto comes over there too. And Otto, oh, I can't stand him, baby. Episode 4 gave me everything that I needed. So he come over there talking SHI about Rhaenyra marrying her brother. What? And then the king is like, are you serious? This baby ain't never 2 years old. Like, what kind of SHI is that? Like, you want her to marry the so he snapped on him. He just pretty much went off on him and said, I want you to go away from me with this bullshit because you are not making any sense about my grown ass daughter marrying her 2-year-old brother just to strengthen whatever we got going on over here. Like, yeah, no, that's not happening. I'm tired of all of this fucking politicking. And I feel like it was in that moment when Viserys, even though he was drunk, he really knew that Otto is full of shit. And Otto really does want what he wants for himself. Like, his self-interest is starting to bleed through. And I feel like in that moment, you know, the king started to realize that. Okay, so let's get to more. Okay, so then later on, we see where Viserys ended up speaking to Lord Lionel, who he actually, I think, should probably make as his hand to the king, because I always see, or not always, but oftentimes we've seen where the king has gone to Lord Lionel to get unbiased advice from him about how he should lead the kingdom or what decision should he make. What are your thoughts about this or that? Da, da, da. Okay, so he asked him about who he should marry, and he also turned around and asked him about who his daughter should marry. So he values Lord Lionel's opinion, and Lord Lionel was like, "Listen, if you ask me, I think she should marry Sir what Leonard or something like that, Lenore. I think that she should marry him because of the Valerian blood, Targaryen blood. It's only going to be the same situation had you married his sister, Lena, or whatever her name was. Had you married her, it would have been the same thing. So the best person for her to marry is going to be Sir Lenore. And then it's going to make the relationship that you had with Corlys less strained. Like, y'all going to be able to get back on one accord. Y'all going to be super powerful. It is what it is. If you ask me, that's what she should marry. Those are just my thoughts. Because at first he thought that he was going to say his son. He said, I wasn't going to say my son at all. But I'll tell you whose son she should marry. And there we are. Okay. So that's where they are. And then at a later time, we saw where Viserys and Alicent ended up having a conversation about, you know, him wavering, not knowing which way he should go. Should he keep Rhaenyra in her position, or whether or not he should give it to his other son? So he's kind of doubting himself at this moment. So Otto decides he's going to go over there and have a conversation with Alicent about the prince, that pretty much tell her, like, you need to make sure that Aegon is going to be the heir to the throne, you know. And she said, well, I think that Rhaenyra would be a great queen. He was like, yeah, but if she becomes queen, this whole kingdom finna fall the hell apart, because everybody doesn't want to see a woman in that particular position. So they're gonna show their ass or whatever like that. So he's like, why? Like, what woman wouldn't want to see their son be the next king or whatever, the heir to the throne? And she was like, yeah, I mean, of course that's what I would want, but come on now, like, I think she'll be a good queen, but whatever. So he's trying to put the impression upon her that she needs to make sure her son is the heir to the throne, the same way his brother told him, you need to make sure he's the heir to the throne. But she don't really go and say that. She don't really have that conversation. She goes and she talks to King V, and she just pretty much said him, listen, Rhaenyra will marry somebody. That's what she talks about. She don't talk about her son at all. But then also, if Allison is trying to get her son to be heir of the throne, she got to be calculated, right? That probably wouldn't have been a good time for her to have that conversation because he just vented to her about how he was feeling about everything anyway. You know what I'm saying? So why would she come and slide through it and be like, hey, you should get my name our son? So she calculated just like her daddy in so many words. At least that's what I think. So then she just says, listen, of course, Miss Girl will marry somebody, but the thing is, you have to allow her to think that it's her decision. So if you let her think that she gets to choose whoever she wants to marry, then of course she'll marry. But it can't be under the pretenses of you telling her what it is that she got to do. So there's that. Meanwhile, we learned that Lord Corlys and Daemon over there losing the motherfucking war, and Viserys doesn't want to help. And the reason he don't want to help is because he feeling like, listen, these are the same people that went against my motherfucking wishes when I tried to tell them about themselves or whatever it was that I said. They didn't like it. So I want them to see how it feels to have to do all this work without me, period. Okay. So he going to end up changing his mind. Okay. Because it's going to be detrimental for them. Because if the crab feeder wins, then it's not going to be good. And that's kind of the question that Allison posed to him. Like, would you rather not help your brother and then they die or whatever the case may be? Or would you, what's going to be the best thing for the kingdom at the end of the day? Okay, cool. The best thing is going to be to send people out to help them, right? To show a united front. So do what you got to do. And that is what he's going to do, right? So Rhaenyra talks to Viserys about him wanting to replace her with her brother. She really wants this position, y'all. Some part of me is getting annoyed with the fact that she really wants this position, so much so that she tends to act out. And it makes me think like, girl, who you really got something to prove? Like, who you got to prove something to? The queen that never was? That's what it's giving, because you damn sure told her you was going to be the next queen. So you definitely got a point to prove. I want you to get that position based on how the men operate. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't want you to get that position because you just keep trying to throw a fit and feel a way about it when you already know how this thing go, which is what your auntie was trying to tell you. You must not know how this shit work, girl. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. She keep trying to guilt trip her dad. Like, you wanna replace me. You wanna replace me. Like, girl, it is what it is. Anyway, so she over there talking to her dad about him replacing her, but it seems like he was kind of disregarding that at first, that he just really wanted to talk about her marrying somebody and how they marry people for strength and all this other stuff. But he also went back around because she did say that she understood his point or whatever. But she also tells him that what she said, oh yeah, he also ends up telling her, listen, at the end of the day, like, you've been alone for quite some time. I do not wish to replace you. Understand that? Like, I don't wish to replace you. I want to see you content. I want to see you with the family, all of that stuff. Because I'm not gonna be ain't nobody living that long, and I'm one of those people that's not living that long, so I'm not gonna last. Okay, but I want that for you. All right, so get that SHI together. So he lets her know that she can choose her own partner the same way he did. He assures her that he won't replace her or whatever. So there's that. He won't replace her with the brother. That's what he said. But he was just whining and crying about whether he should do that. But because he doesn't want to break her heart, because he already took her mama from her. Hello, that's the real reason why I feel like he's holding on to that title for her, because he feels guilt, okay, for taking her mama when she was about to have this child. But anyway, I feel like she was gonna leave anyway. So back at the stepstones, so they pretty much losing the war. All right. So they need somebody to draw all of these men out so that they can attack them, because every time they get ready to attack them, they run back inside. So Laenor is saying that he feels like Daemon will be the best person, whereas his uncle Vaemond is like, no, the hell he won't. And so they pretty much have a spick and spat over there, like, sir, why the hell would you say that when you just pretty much sitting over here not doing nothing anyway? All you've been doing is complaining the whole motherfucking time we've been here anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why you tripping. So it is what it is. Now, meanwhile, Daemon does eventually take himself to, not first of all, let's go back. So the king sent his people over there to let Daemon know, like, hey, we are going to show up, we are going to help, we are going to defend, we're going to do all of that, right? We're going to look out for you. And for some reason, Daemon decided that he was going to attack the soldier. And I said, not you over here fighting the soldier. Not you over here beating on the soldier because he about to send you help. I guess that made Daemon feel like he was weak, that the king had to come over and help him because obviously they're losing the war. It is what it is, okay? So Daemon decides he was going to go over to the crab feeder, pretend like he actually surrendering, girl, wave his white flag. I was even shocked. I said, is he waving the white flag? Like, is he really done? Like, seriously? Okay. So he waving the white flag. even raised up the sword, drew some of the men out. As soon as they got close, he gave one of them the sword, and then he got to stabbing and jugging, and he really killed a lot of them. And I said, "Oh, Damon really over here going to war by himself." Well, the crab feeder wasn't really stupid because he was kind of like looking around in the clouds, like, I know this fool ain't just come out here by himself. Like, I know it's other motherfuckers that's on the way. Where the hell is the dragon? I don't really hear it. Where is it? Where is it? But Damon, they did a good job with how they set that up, the way Damon was eating out of all them soldiers. Okay, so he did eventually get wounded, kind of like the same way he got wounded when he flew over there with the dragon at the top of the episode. So when that happened, all of the all of Lord Corliss, his people, Damon people, they all rushed out and they got to attacking because more and more people started coming out after Damon ended up getting hurt, right? So when that happened, it was so much noise that it seemed like the crab feeder was still looking around like, where is the dragon? Is he coming? Is he coming? And then next thing you know, the dragon came from the other direction and flamed them motherfuckers up. Girl, listen, Sir Lanor was on his dragon flaming them niggas. I was like, oh, well, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, Damon. Okay, we're gonna have to give you a hand clap for that because you pretty much saved half of the mother island to me. Okay, so he did what needed to be done. Okay, so there's that on, I believe it was what, episode 3 and 4. Let me double check and make sure because I feel like I did. Right, so I think I still need to do 3 and 4. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. That's pretty much that on episode 3. Let's go ahead and run into episode 4 real quick. Like, girl, okay, so Rhaenyra has been sent on a tour because y'all know her daddy told her, like, listen, girl, you get to choose whoever it is you want to marry. So she went on a tour. And tell me why this old ass man that stood up there that's older than her daddy trying to get her hand in marriage. Negative. And then you had this liberty ass boy that stand up there trying to get her hand in marriage. Negative. Okay. Only for that little boy to get heckled by some man on the sidelines. And then the little boy decided to draw his sword on the man like they about to really go at it. And they did because the little boy ended up clapping the man. And if he didn't die, he damn sure got wounded because the little boy stabbed his ass. I said, oh, okay, I guess he wasn't kidding when he said he was going to protect right now, honey. But all right. So anyway, Daemon does return from the Stepstones. And when he returns, the reunion of the brothers was interesting because Viserys seemed like he pretty much welcomed him back. At first, we seemed like we weren't sure. Daemon brought him back something that he could add to the Iron Throne, and then next thing you know, Viserys walked down, and he was glad to see his brother, hugged him. It was what it was. All right. So later, then also he called himself. He came back with a crown on his head, and Viserys said, "Oh, so you referencing yourself as king? You got a crown on your head?" He said, "Well, I didn't necessarily do it, but the other people is calling me king of the narrow sea." After I done sat up there and clapped all them motherfuckers. Okay. Period. But I respect your position, and I understand who you are to me as the king. Like, that's just what it is. And then they made up. Now later on, we see where Rhaenyra and Alicent talking about the suitors, okay? Because Daemon was out there, they all were talking, chit chatting, talking. It was Alicent, Rhaenyra, you had Daemon, and you also had King V, all out there chopping it up. Rhaenyra congratulated him on his victory. Alicent wanted to take him on a tour of some stuff. Not Daemon, but Viserys laughed in her face and was like, he doesn't want to see that. And I was like, I see Viserys, you be bothering me because sometimes you have a heart, and then sometimes you just like these other men out there in the kingdom, just full of shit and just disrespectful. But anyway, so Rhaenyra decided she wanted to go see the tour, even though she didn't go see it. And she just pretty much walked off or wanted to tour some of the stuff or whatever it was. So her and Rhaenyra and Alicent ended up having to sit down and had a conversation. And Alicent was just telling her how great it was for her to have all these suitors and how she gets to choose who she may want to be with. Whereas a lot of women don't get that opportunity to choose who they want. And then Rhaenyra isn't really hearing nothing that Alicent is saying because she just feels like, okay, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. Sit up here and just get pregnant, not go nowhere and just get pregnant and have baby after baby after baby. And when she said that, I was like, "Ooh, girl," because that was pretty much an insult to Alicent. Alicent just kind of looked dumbfounded, like, "Shit, man, that is my position, and I hate it, girl. Unfortunately, I ain't choose this, girl. He chose me, so it is what it is. Yikes! All right." So Rhaenyra talks about Daemon and his return, and he says that he just wants to be comfortable at home because eventually she goes off and they have a conversation. She has a conversation with Daemon. And they talking. He was like, she was like, why are you back? I feel like you're back for more than just, your victory or whatever, returning from Stepstone or whatever. And he said he just want to be comfortable at home. And she was like, well, you ain't never been comfortable here at this home or whatever. So they pretty much have a conversation. And she talks about getting married. And she says, listen, I just feel like it's a political arrangement. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, at least for the men. But when it comes to the women, it's a death sentence for us because what do? They have their babies. They slave. They serve. They do this or that. She said, my mama had so many babies until they killed her. Period. So I'm not trying to follow in those motherfucking footsteps at all. So then he tells her, what happened to your mama is a tragedy, but she can't live in fear because she'll miss out on the good parts of life or whatever. And she says, I'm not going, what she says, I'm not going to have no damn fear. Okay. She was like, I'm not living in no fear. Okay. That's what I'm trying to let you know. Like, that's not my plan. My plan is not to live in fear. And so now Rhaenyra goes in her room at some point, and this was later on in the day. This is where the episode got real interesting. She go to her room. She finds these clothes. I guess these were clothes that she was supposed to put on. They had a little stitch to it. Okay. She also finds a little map or something that lets her know that there's a hidden door in her room. This hidden door leads her to the outside where she meets up with her uncle. So they go down these steps and they over there with the lower class people hanging out in their city and in their area. You got the fortune tellers, you got a whole bunch of wine and stuff where people drinking or whatever. And then you also got different shows where they're mimicking the kingdom and talking down on Rhaenyra and her daddy. And Damon took her over there specifically so she could see how the people would respond to a woman being queen. Okay, so he took her over there doing that. And then eventually I think she runs away from him or something, and then he catches up with her. And then he takes her to a brothel. And I said, oh, I knew something was gonna go down. She get over there with her uncle. She ended up getting a kissing and all this other stuff where they almost crossed the line. And then Damon ended up stopping because I guess Damon doesn't really want her. I don't know what Damon wants. Okay. Maybe she wants her uncle more than he wants her, but he still kissed on his niece very passionately and almost crossed the line with her. But what I did like was like, why did you snatch her why did you snatch that piece off her head? Like, why did you I feel like he did all of that on purpose because I felt like, I mean, even though everybody in there was pretty much naked, I feel like she could have went on there with her head wrap on, but I guess he didn't want nobody to think that he was out there doing it with a boy because everybody kept calling her a boy. You know what I'm saying? Well, girl, you had boys up in there, girl, because I saw some men get down on his knees up in that thing. Girl, I was like, oh wow, they getting it in. Okay. So maybe that's what it was, but I also felt like it was a part of his plan. He wanted people to know exactly who she was coming in there in the brothel spot. He engaged in whatever activity. He engaged in enough activity for people to think something was going on. He ran out. She pulled up her clothes and ran out after him, and then somebody else noticed them, a little kid, and then got up and ran to Otto to go and snitch and tell Otto what was really going on. So Otto had to take this information and run it back to the king. Now mind you, when this information was being told to Otto, Miss Rhaenyra, who did not get it in with her uncle, she ended up linking up with the guard outside her house, Sir Kristen. And I knew what was going on. As soon as he knocked on the door, or whatever, he was trying to get her attention. She came to the door and then she grabbed his helmet. The moment she grabbed his helmet, I said, "Oh, it's gonna go down." Okay, because see, now her uncle done got her turned on and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So she got it in with Sir Christian. While everybody is thinking she did it with Damon, she didn't. It was Christian. So Otto eventually takes this information and brings it to the king, King Viserys. So the king is a bit upset because he's like, Otto, why the hell you bringing this stuff to me? First of all, Otto was taking forever to actually say what the hell was really what. That was bothering me. Like, just say it out your mouth. Like, just tell him. He was hesitating and all this stuff, and the king was like, just say what the fuck is on your mind, sir. So he finally tells him what it was and how his daughter was caught up over there with her uncle over there in a brothel or whatever. And that's when Allison ended up hearing. So once Otto ended up leaving because the king felt the way about it, like, you over here, you so focused on your own agenda, you out here trying to make my daughter look bad. Like, what kind of SHI is that? Like, I don't like that. So here's the thing, like, Otto wasn't necessarily lying, but he also didn't have all the facts. But I also feel like, so you can't fully fault him because he's trying to give him the information ahead of time, but at the same time, I feel like that was information he couldn't wait to have to take back to the king so he can try and get her up out her position. Because when the king wasn't believing him, Otto said, oh, well, my sources are known to be reliable. And not only is he saying it, but there were other servants that saw it as well. So yes, it does give that you've been plotting on her so that you can have information to bring to the king to uproot her from her position, therefore making Aegon the next heir to the throne. So yeah, you had a hidden agenda with your fake ass. But anyway, so Allison heard this information. So when she heard it, she ran over there to Rhaenyra, talked to her, and she was just like, girl, this is what the people is saying, honey. They said you was out here hunching in Fondland doing whatever it is you were doing with your uncle. And Rhaenyra is over there playing the role. Oh my God. What was me? I didn't do that. You think I did that? Why would I do something like that? Oh my God, these people. So wait a minute, your daddy was told this information? So somebody told him that and they didn't even have all of the facts. Like we literally just hung out and that's it. Like that's all that we could do. We only hung out. Nothing else happened. Like that's the girl. Just lying, playing it up, but the whole time she really was smashing on Sir Kristen Haney. Okay, so that right there was a mess. Okay, so let's see what else we got. What else ended up happening? Okay. So eventually, okay, meanwhile, the daddy and Damon, okay, so King and Damon, so the king and his brother Damon ended up linking up. The uncle Damon is still drunk or whatever the case is, or pretending. So the king goes off on him and felt like he took his daughter's innocence. Okay. So he going off on him or whatever. But here's the gag. Damon is over here faking, lying, acting like he really did, saying that, okay, I done did it, so ain't nobody else gonna want her. So the best thing that you could do is really marry her to me. And so so the king was disgusted. And he was just like, so you mean to tell me that you being king is more important than being with my daughter? So you don't care about my daughter at all. You just want to, be next in line. And on top of that, you already married. Boy, get the fuck about my face. Like, no, I'm not gonna give my daughter to you. I really should well, he said pretty much disown her. I should disown her the same way I disown your ass. And then, we'll both be good. That's what I should do. Right. So there's that. Okay. Then Allison decided that she was gonna go over there and have a conversation with the king and say, Lisa, I think your brother motherfucking lying. And then the king pretty much says, well, whatever he doing, first of all, he ain't really got no reason to lie, for real, for real. All right, what is he gonna gain if he did lie? But then at the same time, he was like, whatever it is, my daughter ain't innocent. And I'm like, what do you mean if he ain't gonna gain nothing? Like, he gonna gain the fucking title, but I guess he not gonna gain it if you still not gonna make him heir anyway. So he just kind of feel like his brother is telling the truth, and that Rhaenyra ain't, what I'm saying, she ain't innocent. I said, well, you're right, she ain't really innocent, for real, for real. But you know what I'm saying? One thing about it, Miss Allison still gonna try and ride for her friend. I feel like she doing it out of guilt. And because that was her best friend. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep going. All right. So then when her dad finally talks to her, he tells her that if she didn't smash him, it doesn't matter. It's about perception. It's about how everybody else is believing the situation went down. And he right about that. Like it does make you look like you a bit tainted. And it's like it don't matter if she is a bit tainted because she's still the princess. Period. You know what I'm saying? Whatever stains are on her can be wiped off, in my opinion, quicker than any random person like Allison. You know what I'm saying? But now Allison is the queen too. So still, at the end of the day, you are in a position of power. So even if they married her with whatever she had going on, it's still going to put them in a power position as well. So I mean, I don't know. But y'all can explain it down below. Now, her dad also lets her know, like, listen, your motherfucking courtship is over. Okay. I gave you a time. I gave you time to tour, go around, find whoever gonna be for you. You decided to end the tour 2 months early. So guess what? It's done, it's dead, and I'm gonna make the decision. The person that you're going to marry is going to be Sir Lanor. And she said, okay, that's fine. I could do that. That's all right. I don't care. I'll marry him. But here's the thing. What about your raggedy ass hand to the king? What about Otto? Because Otto clearly does not want me to be in that position. That's why he ran and rushed back to give you that motherfucking information, because he's really trying to plan and plot for Aegon to be the next heir. So let's talk about that. I don't mind doing my due diligence or my duties. What about yours? Are you gonna do yours? Exactly. So we need you to do your duty. So, girl, the king was like, all right, baby. Once she made the decision to marry Sir Lanor or whatever the case is, girl, the king decided he called Otto in there. He called Otto in there, had a conversation with him, and pretty much reminisced on how he was the hand to the king before him, how he's been in that position for about 2 decades or whatever the case is, right? I don't know if he said decades, centuries, girl, whatever it was. The man been in two positions for a minute, right? So then he talked about how he ended up going from, I guess, like a noble servant or a noble whoever to being the hand of the king out of nowhere. And he says a few days after that, I guess his dad passed away, meaning King Viserys' dad passed away after he was made hand of the king or whatever the conversation was. The moral of the story was he pretty much reminisced on that, talked about who he was to him, how he taught him how to be king and stuff. He says, but at this particular time, you taught me a lot. You served a lot, being in this particular role, and we owe you, we are indebted to you. Understand? But at the end of the motherfucking day, baby, he said, your self-interest is no longer needed, and no longer is your advice needed at all. So he was like, I'm good on that. And he walked over there, took that motherfucking pen up off him, and I was over here clapping, praising my hands. I was so happy. I was so. I said, we are finally done with Otto, but we really not done, because now I feel like he's gonna be wanting to seek some type of revenge or whatever like that, girl. So it's gonna be real interesting to see how they play out. But for him to walk over there, first of all, fire him and pretty much hit him with that Shawnee, saying thank you for your services, and took that pen up off his, as you are no longer the hand of the king. See, you've been in a powerful position for a very long time, and now you're not anymore. Goodbye. Girl, the scene was everything. I definitely loved it, loved it, loved it. At the end of the episode, we see one of the maesters go over there to Rhaenyra's room, giving her some tea. Soon as he walked in there with the tea, I said, girl, not this being some abortion tea. Not you over here trying to get her to pass whatever she done sat up here and conceived. And I guess it would be the best thing for her at that time. It sucks. But y'all thinking that if she is prego, y'all would think that it's by Damon, and it's not. It's more so by Sir Kristen, but nobody knows about that. And I guess if she's about to marry Sir Laner, it will only make sense that she does rid herself of whatever could have come from whatever she was out here doing in the streets. Girl, just a whole messy mess, honey. But that's pretty much all I got for the past 2 episodes of House of the Dragon, honey. Go ahead and hop down in the comments. Let me know your overall thoughts about everything. I'm Jamie. That's me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my videos, or follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jamie. That's me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.